Hey everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey everybody. Are you awake? Am I awake? What day is it?
Oh my
Where
God.
are we?
As you know, we are streaming the Sarah Boone trial right now, and today felt like it lasted for 1,000 years. And that's just
my
us.
God.
I can't even imagine what the jury thought.
Oh, right? Listening to all that bullshit for that
Oh,
long? Whew.
it was a day, but the beat marches on, not just in Sarah Boone, but also in Delphi and in Leilani Simon. So we're going to update all three
Yes.
of them tonight
Yes,
uh,
we are.
at a pretty good clip because there's a lot to say, a lot to hear, a lot to discuss.
Right?
So I think we're going to get
We-
directly into it.
Gads, we may as well, because, yeah, we've got a lot. There's a lot.
So here's the thing with Sarah Boone. The prosecution is prepared to rest. They were going to rest today, but they ran out of time. So the last witness that is on the stand, who is the lead detective in this case, Chelsea Copesel, she is the last witness, and then they will rest. So in the morning, there'll be a cross on her. Then they're going to rest, and then it will be the narrative testimony from Sarah Boone around 10 a.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Eastern time. So, holy cow, that is going to be something. Yeah.
After watching the police interviews with her today, oh my good Lord and butter.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be wild.
Wowza. So expect that. Today, court started about an hour late because a bunch of the jurors were stuck in line trying to get into the courthouse. So the judge is like, hey, just so you know, I was just informed that there's actually a special line for the jurors. And they're like, yeah, we were in it.
It was still super long. He was really annoyed.
I know. I'm sure he's going to be like,
Massive courthouse, so.
yeah, bitching at the courthouse, like, listen up. I have jurors here that need to get in the door. Yeah. So I think he's determined that won't happen tomorrow and that they'll get started on time. But I don't know. It is moving fast. When Sarah was pro se, they only wanted a week, including jury selection. They knew it was only going to take them a couple of days with the evidence that they've got.
Yeah.
And what they have is copious. I mean, it's, dare I say, voluminous. It's
It
not
is. I
really, but it's
I
it's
actually have a couple of little videos. Well, a couple of
yes.
things to share when we get there.
Okay.
I just realized I didn't download them to this computer, though, so
Oh.
I'll do that right now.
Okay. Well, let's get started. And we'll get started. Sarah today had on a black suit with a shirt that was kind of pinkish, multicolored-ish, but it was snakeskin print. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but it wasn't. It had a big wide collar, like the 70s have called, and they would like their shirt back. She looked like she was about to start a disco routine at any moment.
Yeah, it was an odd choice for court, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Although it did show her true nature quite accurately.
Indeed. She did also get admonished by the judge today because apparently last week and starting today, she kept turning her back to the judge and to talk to her attorneys and looking out over the audience. And the judge let her know that's not appropriate and you won't be doing that anymore.
She's such a little twit.
So she did do it. She tried to do it today, and her lawyer grabbed her and stopped her because there was an outburst in the courtroom.
Yes, and that is one of the that is one thing I have, at least part of it. The part that was actually on screen. I'm just uploading it right now.
Okay, so this happened coming back from lunch, and the judge said, "There's someone in this courtroom. This lady sitting on this row right here. Yeah, you have to leave." And made this lady leave because she had an outburst. And as she was leaving, she had another outburst. But I think we have that on video.
That's the outburst I have, is the second one.
She told the bailiff that brought Sarah in that they should be arrested. She was.
She threw
We're
the
not
courtroom
sure.
open and said, "Is this the trial for Sarah Boone?"
And marched in and sat down. Later on, another bailiff came in searching in the courtroom and picked up a backpack and left with it. And people in the courtroom thought it must have belonged to her. Well, she's had 8 public defenders and, well, I guess 10 really now, 11, 12, because she has 3 right now. She had 8 public defenders and she had 1 private pay when this first started that her ex-husband had paid for.
Yeah.
So a bunch.
She's had more attorneys than, well, anyone. Okay, I have the little outburst vid.
Okay.
Should we watch it?
Let's do.
All right. Thank you all for your patience. Ma'am in the back last row. Good afternoon. After conversing with the state and the defense, they've agreed and asked me to excuse you from this room. I understand that there may have been an outburst by you with courtroom personnel before the judge arrived on the bench this afternoon. If you would like to watch the trial, it is being streamed live. You can head to the 12th floor, get off the elevator, and head to the south side of the building. See the sign where it says Judge Michael Kranick, and it'll tell you which direction to go. You can pick up the phone, call my judicial assistant, Anita Barrios, and she can give you instructions on how to watch this trial virtually. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, I ain't doing it anyway. Okay, God bless you guys. I'm still the boss of the city, so we gotta work together and try to figure it out.
Thank you, ma'am.
And y'all heard what I said. It's John Josiah. Have a good one.
Thank you. To restate the court's prior positions, if there's anyone.
I'm still the boss of this city.
Uh-huh.
We got to work together.
Did you see Sarah start to turn and her lawyer said Sarah and she turned back around?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the holy hell that was, but that happened today because why didn't it in this trial?
Right, of course. If some crazy bullshit's going to happen, it'll be in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's take it from the top. We started this morning with Dr. Sarah. I'm going to do it all wrong. I don't even know how to start. It's you guys listen. It's Satazwdowcz. Sarah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember how she said it.
I can't either, and I just can't get my mouth to do it.
She says, what she says sounds like a way shorter word than the way that it's spelled. It's because of
yes.
It's spelled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dr. Sarah, the forensic pathologist, took the stand first thing this morning. She said the cause of death was positional asphyxia with a lack of oxygen. Cause of death, homicide. She said that she believes that George spent 11 hours in the suitcase, though that was really not as scientific as it was just what was told to her.
Yeah, because that actually doesn't really track with some of the other things that we know, that it's likely more like 14 hours. Mm-hmm. If Sarah can be believed of her timeline at all.
Right.
I mean, the things that happened the night before, when the thumping down the stairs happened, and when those 2 videos were made, makes it more like 14. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever know the truth about that.
I think probably not. This was the photo. We did see some autopsy photos. I did not screenshot those. I'm seeing some people passing them around on Twitter. You'll never see me do that ever.
No.
But this was the photo or the sketch. So you can see he had injuries all over the place. He had a ton of bruising and lacerations and other things on his body. But that is the chart that she filled out. Also that he was 62 inches long, 103 pounds.
Also, I don't know why the butt crack is so long in that picture.
It's
that
weird.
Is all I can fucking look at. It's so stupid. I'm just a 12-year-old boy at heart. But that's so funny. But yeah, it was terrible. Like, he was seriously hurt.
Very much so. He had
Besides the asphyxia.
blunt impact on his head, around his eye and mouth, bruises on both hands, a series of bruises on his back and forearms. Blunt force trauma, she said, can be something striking the body or the body striking against something. So she was asked, could these be consistent with a person being hit with a bat or being pushed down a flight of stairs? She said it really could have been either. She can't say that the injuries did or didn't happen when he was in the suitcase or not, but they were all fresh injuries and they happened about at the same time. Tox screen showed a blood alcohol of 0.138, which is 3 times the legal limit. There was also caffeine and nicotine in his system.
Oh, wait. It was almost 3 times the legal limit the vitreous eye juice alcohol test was.
Right, that's right.
Because their legal limit is 0.08.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it had been at least 0.24.
Mm-hmm.
And was on its way down.
Yeah.
God.
There was a lot of alcohol in his system. I wish we had had a blood alcohol on Sarah.
I know. Yeah.
From the photos, obviously the photos that we saw and descriptions, he was just covered in bruises and contusions. On cross, Owens asked about all of the ways alcohol could have affected his behavior. And they discussed, in general terms, what a lot of alcohol in your system might make you act like. People in the courtroom were saying that Sarah had absolutely no response or emotion to the autopsy photos. I wouldn't have expected any less from you, Sarah.
Every time, all we can see is sort of the back of her head or her profile. And yeah, it was nothing.
Nothing. So then the defense tries to push this idea that he actually had a heart attack. Because he did, in the autopsy, it showed that he did have some heart disease. And she was like, yeah, he had heart disease, but there's no evidence of a heart attack. There would have been things that we would see. So then he starts this other line of questioning. Well, if he was not in the suitcase when he was found and just laying on the couch and he was dead and you did this autopsy, wouldn't you... how do they always say it? I'm sure you'll agree that you would have found that he had a heart attack. And she's like, I'm sure I wouldn't have. She was like, he didn't have a heart attack. She's like, he flatly did not have a heart attack. That's just absolutely not what happened.
And also, she said it would very much depend on the circumstances of that death. What the fuck, dude?
Right. It was crazy what he was trying to make her say. And but she did a really good job of pushing back on him. A really good job. She was a little pretentious. She rolled her eyes at one point, which I thought was just fine. But she was definitely
using big medical words for bruise, and I was like, say bruises.
Just say bruises, please. Yeah. Kathy said, I thought Owen's question about fine motor skills was so dumb. Right. He wanted to know if his fine motor skills could have contributed to, what was it, to falling? I can't remember, but it wasn't, what he was asking would have been not fine motor skills.
In the suitcase.
Getting in the suitcase.
Something about getting in the suitcase.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which would have been gross motor skills, not fine motor skills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At one point, he asked if any of the injuries were linear.
Oh, yeah.
And then asked, what does linear mean? Asked her, what does linear mean? And she said, it means in a line. It was so dumb. He was trying to say that if he'd been hit by a baseball bat, wouldn't he have these bruises that were long lines? And she's like, well, depends on what part of the bat you were hitting him with. Duh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, he was hit on his hands and on the tops of his shoulders, and maybe, we don't know, or all those parts of him bounced down the stairs. Yeah. But yeah, his line of questioning with the ME was really stupid. Or the forensic pathologist, yeah. So then we have the criminal analyst, I'm so tired, for the FDLE. This is a woman by the last name of Meredith. So she had cuttings. She was the DNA person. She had cuttings and blood from George for DNA analysis. She also had buccal swabs and fingernail swabs from Sarah. And she had, so the DNA from under the nails of Sarah were Sarah's and George were George. The DNA under the nails did not indicate that they were fighting at all.
No, they didn't have each other's DNA under their fingernails. I
Yeah.
thought that really shoots down self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
What? There was no fight?
Besides
There
the
was
fact
no
that
physical fight?
Sarah had no injuries.
No.
None. Yeah. So then Junella Udon, she was the digital forensic examiner. She talks about what the chain of custody is and the sealing of evidence, and is given a package that's sealed that she opens with scissors that is Sarah's phone. So she talked about extracting the data from the phone using Cellbrite. We learned more about Cellbrite today, I think, than we've ever heard before. It was really interesting.
She was so clear and concise and easy to understand. So was the
Yeah.
DNA tech. They were great. They were a lot better than the ME, honestly, in their ability to give information to the jury economically.
Absolutely. Yeah, that you could actually digest. So basically, Celebrate is a kick-ass program that they use that has all kinds of capabilities to extract information and then also to organize information or to search for information. Like, it's pretty amazing, actually. I mean, Celebrate is used by law enforcement across the country, including the FBI. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Well, it was real key in the Daybell trials. That's for
Oh my
sure.
gosh, it was huge. Yeah. She was asked if they can ever see if data has been deleted. She said yes, and it may still be recoverable with their software tools. So sometimes and we know sometimes it's just in the cloud too. There were some text messages that were really interesting. Let's see. Okay, this is kind of the beginning and end of it. So this is a text between her and, I believe, George's brother. He says, "Please do something with yourself, Sarah. God bless you." She says, "And bless all of you too. I'll get rid of him. Then I'll be better." I'll get rid of him.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm. Then Ugg and Torres.
But this was Brian Boone.
I was really confused. I think Brian Boone owns her phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he does.
Yeah.
But they also said that these text messages were back and forth between Sarah and Brian Boone.
Oh, did they?
My
I thought
understanding of it.
my understanding is that these were with George's brother. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I don't know.
know.
Chatters, those of you that were watching, anybody know? I just thought these were with Brian. But yeah, there was some communication. Or some confusion about these communications because, yeah, of course Brian owns her phone. Of course he pays her bills.
Yeah.
He's done everything for her.
Yep. Brian was literally just financing Sarah's life. She was not working, and he was just paying for her to live. And not just for her to live, but also for George to live.
Yeah,
so
he wasn't working either.
Anyway, this came in today, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then, of course, they bring up these. This is the first one. This is at 2/23/2020 at 11:23 p.m. This is the first video. So this is after George is in the suitcase, is downstairs, and Sarah is sitting on the couch taunting him while he is begging for life. You guys have seen that video before. Yeah,
combined into one video.
Let's listen to that.
Say what?
Yeah, let's listen to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You keep cutting out to me. I don't know.
Oh, I said, yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
For everything you've done to me. Sarah, for everything you've done to me.
Sarah,
Fuck you.
Sarah,
Fuck you.
Sarah,
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it on.
Sarah, I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously,
Yeah, that's when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. Might want to give it for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh, that's what I feel like when you ching on me.
Sarah. I
Fuck
can't
you.
fucking breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
And that's what sinks her ship.
Yeah. How chilling is that?
So this is the first time the jury has heard this, of course. And people in the courtroom said that they all looked very shocked and a little shaken. I mean, that is a man begging for his life, who then
And
subsequently
you can hear
died.
that he can't breathe. Like he's
Yeah.
croaking it out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep. Yep. Well, we've been waiting and waiting for that one,
yeah.
knowing that would be coming soon.
Well, that completely destroys her self-defense claim. From what? A guy dying in a suitcase while you callously cuss him out while he dies? Like, come on.
Yeah. Yep. And of course, Sarah claims she just went to bed. She just thought he'd come join her in bed with the dogs at some point, and he just never did, but she fell asleep, so she didn't know. So obviously,
And
it's
that's-
not her fault.
Yeah, remember, that suitcase is 28 inches tall,
Mm-hmm.
and it is 20 inches wide, and it is not quite 9 inches deep.
And there was a whole human
you
man inside of
imagine?
there.
Yeah.
No.
How tightly packed he was.
Would have to be a lot bigger suitcase to get me in there.
Me too. Me too.
He was a tiny, tiny man. Yeah.
He was. But yeah,
So-
who's the aggressor in this situation?
Yeah.
Is it the dead guy with all the bruises, or is it Sarah with nary a scratch?
Mm-hmm. On cross, they asked her how she got into the phone. She said the passcode was given to her. Sarah gave it to someone.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to know if they can get data off of an iPhone that's locked. He was acting like he thought they couldn't on cross. And she said, no, with our software, we can get 80 to 85% of the data off of an iPhone that's locked.
Mm-hmm.
Then the defense makes this weird kind of veer into kind of trying to implicate the ex-husband.
Yeah. Because the phone's in his name.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
do we know it wasn't him taking the video? Well, it was Sarah's voice, Sarah's drunk, slurry, dumbass voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And not Brian's.
Wow.
No, not
No.
Brian's. So then we get homicide detective Chelsea Copsell on the stand. Chelsea and her partner, sorry, not husband. Chelsea and her partner were called to the scene. They have 3 different homicide detective teams that go out on various calls, and they were on call when this one came in. So they were the ones that went. They She said when she first got there, of course, the police were already all there. They were called in, when they discovered it was a homicide. George was still on the floor. Sarah was outside. She ends up getting Sarah into her car and has an audio recorded interview with her first.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just basically the basic story that she was calling in the first place. Yeah. Just kind of that, they were drinking, all of that shit about that they were just enjoying each other's company, and so they were doing puzzles and craft projects and drinking wine and just enjoying each other's company, and nothing went wrong that day. We were just enjoying each other's company. She says that over and over again, and just kind of the same stuff in the
She
audio
just talks
interview.
in a giant dumbass circle.
Mm-hmm.
It says the same stuff over and over and over again. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
I just fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So then the next thing that we really get into is the video recorded interview that happens, the interrogation that happens down at the police station. This is after they have extracted from her phone and they have these videos that she clearly doesn't know they have, or maybe doesn't know exist. By her behavior, I still kind of think that she was so blackout drunk she didn't even know she made those.
It does make you wonder, because her reaction, I don't know if she knew.
I
or
know.
if she remembered what she'd said in them, or she didn't seem to be fully clear on that.
No, she didn't. So, they're interviewing her and she's, giving them this huge song and dance about how she's a saint and George was really problematic and he was always having a problem. He had been in jail. She'd bailed him out. They'd had a bunch of domestics. They'd both been arrested before. And it's because he was a terrible alcoholic. And, as we know, she also
him with the problem.
Mm-hmm, she also was a terrible alcoholic. But of course, she's blowing a lot of bullshit in this interview about how problematic he was. And his family loved her because they knew that she had just done everything she could for him. And he lost his job through no fault of his own, and he loved his job and he loved his coworkers, and that really destroyed him, and he just hadn't been the same since, and just kind of going on and on about it.
She'd done everything for him. Everything.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
The way that, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
the way she went on with that was so annoying.
At one point she said, "I don't think you understand who I am. I don't think you understand who I am."
I excel at everything. I excel at everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, drunky foo-foo. Right.
Yes. I'm a straight A student. I am good at everything I do.
Yeah.
I'm the good guy here. He's the bad guy. So after an incredible amount of time of her spinning bullshit about the night before and about how good she is and how bad he was and how she didn't do anything wrong, and them asking her over and over and over again, why would you just go to bed with him in that suitcase? Why would you not think? And she just kept going on and on about how there was a hole where it wouldn't zip all the way and he could unzip it. She knew he could. She zipped it with one finger, so she knew he could unzip it, no problem. And she just didn't think she needed to let him out. And she got up the next morning.
I just went to bed.
Yeah.
I just went to bed.
She just went to bed. When she woke up the next morning and he wasn't in bed with her, she just thought he was just downstairs on the computer looking for jobs. And she can't use the laptop, so she doesn't go downstairs and bother herself with him when he's looking for jobs because she can't use the laptop.
She kept saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
She was using a laptop while she was pro se, so... Right, a straight A student in her 40s, yeah. It seems like Sarah didn't really mature beyond about 15.
No, I don't think that she did.
But at any rate, so that goes on forever, and they're asking her, like, did you take any videos? Did you take any pictures? And she's like, I think I took a picture of the dog. Like, that's all I did. They're like, all right, well, we want to show you something.
Well, and they also talk about how she's like, well, it's not just my phone; it's our phone. That's George.
Oh, yeah.
That's George and I's phone. We share it. I don't know. I don't even always have it. And they said, did you take it to bed with you? No.
Yeah.
Ass.
For sure you didn't. Yeah. Well, but also her phone has a fingerprint and facial protection passcodes.
Yeah. But
And
it's
yet,
on George's phone.
But so if he wanted to use the phone, he'd have to walk up to her and hold it into her face to unlock it. But then she talked about him having a phone too that only had or maybe it was on that phone too, but he had a passcode, but he didn't have the facial thing. Or anyway, a lot of it was in such word salad circles that
It's just a tornado of bullshit.
Yes. Yeah. So she finally comes downstairs. She can't find him. He's not on the computer. He's not on the back porch. She just can't figure it out. And then oh my God, the suitcase. So then she opens it and she drags him out and he's purple and he gurgles and she does CPR for a while and then calls 911 and 911's helping her do CPR and there's no evidence at all that Sarah ever did any CPR. And in fact, was very argumentative with the 911 operator. Yeah. Yep. So then they play her the video. They're like, this is what was on your phone. Don't you want to know what's on your phone? So they start playing this and she's like, I don't want to watch this. No, I don't want to watch this. And they're like, don't you want to know what's on your phone? What we're seeing? Because this is what we're thinking right now. This is what we're seeing. She refuses to finish watching it. They kind of make her. It was about over by the time she stopped watching. But yeah, complete lack of empathy. She
had no emotional reaction to poor George at all.
And then continues to just argue in circles with the detectives for another probably hour about how she's the good guy and he's the bad guy. And
how could you say I just went to bed and left him in the suitcase? That's what she started saying.
Yeah.
After she'd said, guys, I just went to bed.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I have no idea how he got all those bruises. I just went to bed. And then how can you say I just went to bed and left him in the suitcase?
Yeah.
And the detective, the guy, was like so done with her. He's like, that's what you said you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
So then she kind of starts doing this. Well, what happens now? Well, what do I need to prepare for? What do I need to do to get out of this?
Yeah.
What do I need to do now to get out of this? And they're like, oh, we can't. We have nothing to say to you on that. They do finally get somebody that comes in to do the swabs of her fingernails. And she's going, well, are you guys just going to come and come to my house? You can't come and arrest me when my son's there. I can't have you coming over. She didn't really say arrested, but she kept saying, are you going to come over? Are you just going to come to my house? You can't come when my son's there. I can't have that. You can't come. I need to know what's going to happen. And so finally they went, all right, motherfucker, you know what? We're just going to arrest you right now and get this over with. And that's what they did. I mean, I probably made some of that up, but I think that's what they were thinking. Oh, shocked.
I mean, they had Mirandized her in the car
2 times, yeah.
Yeah, and she still does not get it that she's being interrogated and that she's being arrested.
Yeah.
She was so indignant. But what about? But I need to talk to Brian. But I need to make a phone call. But what about my car? And they're like,
what about my purse? Yeah.
Don't really care, honestly.
Yeah.
Murderer. Jesus.
It was the way she was just so sure that she was the absolute best, and they were, that George was just the worst and that they just didn't get it. She just kept going, what don't you get? Why don't you understand? You don't understand who I am. And oh my God, it was so gross. You don't
understand our relationship. You just don't get it. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. She kept saying that too. And I was like, this is like listening to a 14-year-old kid bitch at adults.
Yeah.
Like, lady, these are the cops.
Yeah.
And they've just showed you a video of you causing the murder of someone and you do not get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah. So that's finally where they ended today. was a very long day. The jury was asked to stay late so they could get through this portion. One of the jurors had to take a few moments in the juror's room to make some phone calls to make some childcare arrangements. But I think the jury's like, yes, keep going. Let's get done with this.
They were very much like, we will make this happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was something. The word salad arguing. I can see why the people at the jail are so over her shit and keep writing her up and stuff, because this is exactly what she's doing to them. This is how she went through that many attorneys.
Yeah, and Miss I excel at everything kept saying, why didn't you call 911 sooner? I didn't know what to do. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I've never been in this situation before. I didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you excel at everything, lady.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently not this.
And you didn't know if there was somebody in George's condition in your house, you shouldn't call 911 immediately?
She made damn sure George was dead.
Because what was really true is she didn't call 911 until Brian made her.
Yes. After he got there and was like, holy shit.
We really don't know, and we'll never know, how long Sarah knew he was dead in the suitcase before she called 911. We don't know. We don't know that she didn't sleep on that couch. Right. We don't know that she didn't sleep on that couch and watch him die and just stay right there. We don't really know.
Right. Yeah. Because she said she was just hanging out upstairs. And she didn't know where he was. Like, you don't get up in the morning and go, where's my spouse that I live with?
Right. Yeah.
No, she just hung out upstairs for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, he might have been listening to music.
Collecting her thoughts.
Yes, collecting her thoughts. She doesn't like to listen to music with him because he just gets way too into it, and she doesn't like that. Yeah. So if he was maybe listening to music, she couldn't have gone downstairs for that. Yeah. So that's where we ended. So tomorrow morning, Detective Copsa will be on cross, and then they'll have a quick redirect, and then we'll have little Sarah Boone on the stand. So bring your hip waders and your punching pillows. You're going to need them both.
I cannot imagine what bullshit she's going to say tomorrow.
Or how long it's going to go on.
This happened 4 years ago. She has had 4 years of this swirling around in her brain. Think little Bobby tell us.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be insane. We'll probably hear some shit she's never even said before.
I would imagine. Yep.
Right, and you're right, Teresa. Murdering him doesn't fit her self-identity of the perfect, caring person.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Right, Sarah said. The poor jury is intrigued and horrified at the same time. They've likely already started making up their minds. Oh, well, I can't imagine they didn't watch that video today and go,
oh, got it. Okay.
Okay, then. Here it is. Yep. Ugh.
Yeah.
So that's a lot on Sarah, but we got to keep moving because we have 2 other trials to talk about tonight. So let's change gears to Delphi.
Yes.
So, sorry, Amanda, let's clear that up first. She said, did you say she's talking or just the upcoming evidence? No, she is doing a narrative style testimony tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah, and it's going to be some major bullshit.
Indeed.
It's going to be like Bobby Tejas did when we covered that trial, because she's going to lie, and her attorney knows it, and so he is not going to question her. He's going to just let her word vomit.
Yep.
And then the prosecution will be all over that and probably get a bunch more evidence in.
Oh, yeah, because she's going to kick doors open right and left. Yep, it's going to be something.
Will.
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Amanda. We can clear that up. Yes, that's what's going to happen. All right, so Delphi, we talked about Delphi. We updated Delphi Day 1, of course, on Friday. Delphi had court on Saturday, a partial day.
Really?
It wasn't a lot. Bob Siegel with WTHR was there. He does a 13 Things to Know from Delphi each day. So I'm going to just share some of his 13 things to know about Saturday. It was a short day. So they had 3 witnesses. They were all talking about the location of the searches, the crime scene, and the surrounding area. So the first witness was Steve Mullen. He's the former Delphi PD chief and current investigator for the Carroll County prosecutor. He showed the jury by photo where Abby and Libby's bodies were found on an aerial map, and walked through some drone video of Monon paths that were likely used by the girls. And so Mullen said that the initial search for Libby and Abby on the 13th of February lasted until 2 a.m. And then they took a break and resumed in the morning. This was, of course, in 2017. He said at that time he still believed that the girls would return home. There was, kind of a general consensus that a lot of times when kids go missing, that first little bit, suddenly, they went to a different friend's house or they went to a movie or something. So they were still kind of going, okay, they're probably alive out there, but we're going to keep looking. So the second witness was Jake Johns. He is a resident that just was out searching. So he searched the banks of Deer Creek for 4 hours before he spotted a tie-dye shirt in the creek that matched the description of one of the girls. And that helped narrow the search down. Mm-hmm. And then the final witness was Pat Brown. He also was a resident who was searching. He said he's known Libby's grandfather since they were in high school. So, of course, he was just out looking.
Yeah.
And when he found the girls, he showed them on a map in the courtroom, the spot where they were. He said at first he thought they were mannequins.
People say that about bodies a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh. He realized after a moment what he was actually looking at and said, "We found him." He said he stood looking away from the bodies for 5 minutes until the police reached him. On cross, Baldwin asked if officers at the crime scene had guns. Brown said they did. We know they're still trying to create some doubt on that bullet. And so, of course, that Sig Sauer that Richard Allen has, that they claim that the unspent bullet came from, a lot of the police in the area carry the same gun. So he'd asked that question.
Interesting.
The state did not present crime scene photos that day, but they told the jury that they would be seeing them soon and they would be bloody and gruesome. Before they sent the jurors back to the hotel, Judge Gold told them that the court had activities planned for them for the weekend and released them. So that was halfway through the day on Saturday. So because they're sequestered and they cannot have their phones or watch TV or anything, they're, planning activities with them, like I'm guessing like movies, games, stuff like that. But they also have to supervise them to make sure they're not discussing the case. So what a weird energy it must be around all of them.
So weird. You're supposed to hang out with these people and you're also not supposed to speak to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty interesting.
I guess they can talk about their personal lives. They just can't talk about the case. But that's still strange.
Yeah.
The thing that's like right in their faces they can't talk about.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So this morning we learn that the defense has filed a motion regarding the bridge guy video. Let me see if this is yes. Okay. So this is from Angela Ganote. This is a tweet from her. She's a reporter that's in the courtroom. I think she's also from Fox. She's from Fox, I don't think 1349 or something like that. She's a Fox reporter. Anyway, so this is in their motion. They want to bar testimony speculating as to what's being said on the bridge guy video. So if you don't know, there was a video found on one of the girls' phone, from Libby's phone, from a snap video, that has this guy that's saying something to them. But one thing we've known for years now is that the video itself was 40-some seconds long, and the public was only privy to a portion of that. It was part of the thing they were passing around along with those the sketches, the potential sketches, and
the down the hill video.
Mm-hmm. Now the sketches were thrown out last week, but we still have this video, in. It was the state that wanted the sketches thrown out. And this video is what they based the sketches on, as well as a couple of witnesses. At any rate, so we've asked this question lots of times in the past. What else is on the video? Well, now we know that one of the girls says something on the video. We don't know what, but we know one of the girls says something. So the defense says we don't want any testimony of anyone speculating on what is said. If you've seen the Bridge Guy video, you know it's really hard to tell what is said. The prosecution in their opening indicated that he says, "Girls, come with me," and sends them down the hill. We don't know that he said that. You can't really hear it.
Mm-mm.
We're not sure what's
down
said.
The hill is fairly clear, but that's really it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, they're not trying to exclude the video. They're trying to exclude anyone trying to interpret the video. Basically, what they're saying is, if the video's in, it's entirely up to the jury to watch the video and decide what they think is being said.
Yeah.
Period. Because also, the man in the video is far away and fuzzy enough that you couldn't possibly decide that is anybody, really.
No, it's not clear. You can't make out facial features and stuff at all.
Yeah. So they filed that today. We don't know if what Judge Gold will do with that, but she's not been a friend of the defense in any way, so I would imagine that she does the exact opposite of that. But that's what they're asking for. Also, there was a filing.
Anybody who says what they think it says is guessing. It is a guess.
Oh, it is a guess.
Every time.
Without a doubt. Yeah. There was a second filing. This is from Andrea Jean Burkhart. She is an attorney who filed a motion to intervene and for public access to court records. Because, as you know, the court records have been very limited in this case because Judge Gold has been very willing to violate the constitutional rights of the accused, as well as the public front, left, and center. So finally someone said, all right, someone has to stand up to her. She said on Twitter, somebody has to stand up to her. I guess it's going to be me. She's just going to get smacked down. It won't make any difference. But good on her for trying.
I don't know if it'll be as good as the motion to intervene smackdown that happened during the Chad Daybell trial.
Could it be?
Fucking hilarious. But wow, that's guts, man, with gall to try to intervene. That's wild.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into today. So she did let the jurors know today was going to be lengthy. So we start with Sheriff's Deputy Darren Giancola. He was the first deputy to arrive to the scene, and Sergeant Jason Payne. He's a crime scene investigator with the Indiana State Police. So the state brought in more than 40 crime scene photos. Those photos did include shots of the general area, as well as close-ups of both of the girls. The images show that Abby was dressed while Libby was not. Abby's clothes appeared to be damp. Bloodstains were visible on the girls, the ground, and nearby trees. Both girls had suffered lacerations to their throats. Abby's body was 3 to 5 feet away from Libby, according to the images. Libby's left arm was raised above her head, while her right arm was at her side. Abby was lying on her back with her right knee bent slightly and her right foot under her left leg. There were audible gasps in the courtroom when some of these images were shown. There were tree branches on top of both of the girls. They appeared in a V-set or a cross-shaped pattern. They're saying some of the branches were large, with a large tree limb noted on Libby's left shoulder. Darren Giancola told the court that he's been with the Sheriff's Department since 2011. He started looking for the girls around midnight and ended about 2 the day they disappeared. He also said, we really thought they would turn up. We were hoping they were just out with friends or something. But when he was called to the scene, he encountered a very distraught woman who had just reached the scene. I don't know who she was. Then, of course, he learned that the girls' bodies were found. He said there was a substantial amount of blood on their person and underneath, though other people are saying that from the crime scene photos, there was a lot of blood around and on one of them, and the other one only had blood around her injury. So I don't know. During cross, Andrew Baldwin asked him to describe the terrain. They talked about how steep the terrain is and how difficult it is to get to that spot. He also said that Abby Williams's clothes appeared to be wet. And then he said that Abby primarily had blood near her wound while Libby German had blood all over her body.
Wow.
So then we have Jason Page. He arrived at the scene around 1:30 on February 14th and met with other crime scene investigators. He also showed several of the photos that he had taken. They had marked off about a 30 to 40 square foot area where most of the physical evidence was. He also just talked about the rough and steep terrain. He showed a map with the topography and where the bodies were found. He also talked about the condition of the bodies. He said that there were black marks on Libby's body.
Black marks.
Mm-hmm.
Was this more of that Odinist? Were they symbols of some sort?
He just said black marks. The area was saturated with.
We don't get to know about that.
Yeah. The area was saturated with a large amount of blood on the ground. He also recalled that Abby's clothes were wet. Notes from the media pool described Page's testimony as calm and almost mechanical. He testified for about 90 minutes and then came back for cross. So they asked him about that unspent bullet found at the crime scene, because for a long time they were told that there was no picture of that bullet at the crime scene or any pictures of it being recovered. Apparently they have one picture of it while it's still in the ground, and that's all they have on that bullet.
But it was after the crime scene had been released, and then they went back to it, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was the next day. According to his testimony, the cartridge was not easy to find. It was located after the bodies had already been moved with the assistance of a blue light, which revealed a sparkle in the ground. It was straight down and depressed into the ground. So they also did not collect any forensics or DNA from the branches. There was blood and things on the there was blood on the branches. They did not do any DNA evidence collection on the branches. They also did not do sexual assault kits on the girls.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
They've said forever they weren't raped. How the fuck would they know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why wouldn't they?
He was asked if a rape kit was done, and he said he assumed a test would be done during the autopsy, but was unaware as he did not attend the autopsy. And they're saying, at least from what we know now, there was no rape kit done. Yeah.
I cannot imagine the medical examiner wouldn't have done one. What?
Yeah.
One of these kids was naked, and the other one was wearing the other one's clothes.
Yeah. So then they had more crime scene investigators. They said that there were, a lot of them pretty much described the same scene. They said that they used metal detectors at the scene and that no shoe impressions of evidentiary value were found. They did not take the temperature of the girls' bodies at the scene. They said that they were advised against inserting a thermometer into the girls' bodies who may have been sexually assaulted. So they didn't take their temperatures at the scene.
What the fuck?
So the last witness is Brian O'Leahy. He's a crime scene investigator with Indiana State Police. He was at that time. He again talks about this being a typical Indiana forest and riverside and prime deer country. He said that they searched and searched for trail cameras, but to his knowledge, none were found. He talks
So wait a
about,
minute.
yeah,
They used metal detectors, and they did not find that bullet.
right.
And then they came back the next day and used a blue light and found the bullet.
I know. The
The
bullet
casing
is
at
so
least would have
dicey.
gone off.
Well, one thing
What
that
the hell?
one thing that the things that they do, or that they didn't do, is follow a correct, at least according to the defense, they're saying that they did not follow a correct chain of custody on the bullet. Anyway, from the time it was found to the time that they had decided that this came from some dude that lived down the road's gun.
They just made that shit up. Pulled it right out of their asses.
Yep.
What the hell?
So he says that he talked about the sticks and branches being laid over the girls, about
They
helping
didn't
to.
test those for like fingerprints or DNA of anyone.
No, and they were asked why, and they said because they've never gotten any evidentiary value off of a stick in the past. So these ones didn't matter.
I mean, they were sawed, right? They had cut
Yeah.
ends. They were purposeful,
They were made
Oh
for
my
this
God.
purpose. Yeah.
right? They weren't just snapped off. Somebody cut
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So O'Leahy said that Libby had blood on her heel, her thigh, parts of her leg and neck. He said that Abby was wearing Libby's sweatshirt and jeans. One of Libby's shoes was found under Abby's body. Libby's phone was also found under Abby's body in a Harry Potter themed phone case. And that ended today. So they will start tomorrow with the defense cross-examining O'Leahy. But I want to share Angela Ganote's final notes from today as well. She said, CSI investigator O'Leahy on the stand discusses where Abby and Libby's shoes, clothing, and cell phone were found. Libby's shoe was found in the river. So that was one thing that wasn't in those notes. But one of her black Nikes was in the river, and the other one was under Abby. Libby's phone was under Abby's shoe. Libby's shirt was on Abby. Libby's other clothes were inside out and in the creek. Abby's hands were inside her shirt. Yeah. Her hands were inside her shirt, clutched on her chest, feet pointed north. O'Leahy said the branches from the crime scene discussed earlier had blood on them and were recovered and taken into evidence 2 days later. The other investigators all said it was clear the sticks were also arranged in a specific way on Abby and Libby. They clarified there was a photo of the bullet, because initially they said there was no photo of the bullet. Then they said, oh no, we do have one photo of the bullet, but it's only just in the ground. And then, of course, some big problems with the chain of custody on the bullet. So we know he'll be back on the stand tomorrow.
It's so ridiculous that the bullet's even in this trial. If it's got chain of custody problems, it should never even be presented.
Right.
My God.
Yeah.
They have botched this so goddamn bad, it's just maybe unfixable.
Yep. Yep.
But then choosing not to test. Like, I mean, she literally had a blonde hair wrapped around her finger.
Yes. Well, and also her clothing were wet. So how long had that crime scene been set before someone found it?
Right.
It
And
couldn't
why
have
was
been
it
that
so
long.
chaotic? Like, it was just somebody freaked out and chucked everything out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Yeah. 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 So that's where we are. That's where we are. I don't even know what to say at this point. I think that definitely the bridge guy video should not be interpreted, but I'll bet you $1,000 Goal allows that.
I bet she does.
Yep. Yep. So that's where it is, and we'll keep an eye on what happens tomorrow. So, right, good point. Jennifer said a crime scene being wet is a big problem for forensics. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but it's not a reason to just not test anything. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, I cannot believe
Mm-hmm.
that they just didn't test those friggin' sticks. And no SA kits?
Yeah,
Oh
why?
my God.
Why? Yeah.
With the
This
naked teenage girl.
all stinks. All of it. So that's what we've got. So we're going to pivot one more time. And Kristi, you're going to update us on what's going on with the Leilani Simon trial.
Yes, okay. So there was court last Thursday and then court today. So there wasn't court on Friday in Simon. I've talked a lot already about what was going on in Simon. A few things that they did. So there's this whole conversation around why she left the house at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And the story was that she went to meet up with a friend named Misty to get some Oragel because she'd had a wisdom tooth out or some wisdom teeth out that day and she was in pain. Well, she goes, there's this gas station that's discussed, and then there's this neighborhood with a road called Azalea. And she's supposedly going to the gas station to meet her friend Misty to get the Oragel. And that story falls apart totally. She drives by the gas station. They have video of it. She does not go in the gas station. And then she goes into the Azalea neighborhood where, guess who? Her drug dealer and the guy she was having an affair with live. Same guy. That guy.
Yeah,
Same guy. Anyway, so they find the friend who is supposedly Misty. Except her name's not Misty. She goes by Missy. Like,
Oh.
Leilani just pulled a name out of her ass and said it, you know? There's so... Oh, I'm sorry. There was court on Friday, too. What am I talking about? Okay. They have a video that shows Simon's car at the Azalea mobile home area where they think she actually went to her drug dealer / boyfriend. There are dumpsters there off Ogeechee Road. This was around 1 a.m. and they see her car there. So the assumption is made is that is where she dumped Quentin's body, is in that dumpster, and then that's how his body ended up in the landfill that they found later. Now, the problem is, it does not show enough. Like, the car's there, it doesn't really show what's happening, it doesn't show her actually stopping. Like, it's not definitive at all. So the friend, apparently, her name is Melissa. But she doesn't go by Misty. She goes by Missy. And she says she did not meet up with Leilani Simon that night and give her Oragel.
Wow.
So Leilani changed her story that she just found the Oragel in her car and ended up not having to meet up with her. Except that this gal is like, first of all, I go by Missy. Second of all, there was never a plan to meet up. Let's see. Oh, then they talk to, good Lord, a former friend of Leilani Simon named Melanie Bowling. And Melanie talks about how she held a seance and made contact with Quentin's ghost. I was like,
Oh.
oh,
On the stand.
on the stand. This is, by the way, this story is solicited by the defense. Which also, I'm like, what?
Why?
So she says, this is what she says. He spoke to me through images when I was in my trance. I lit my candle, had my Bible out, and I prayed. I asked if I could reach out to Quentin Simon, and here he comes. I was always called Mama Mel. He said, Mama Mel, help me. He didn't say, my mom murdered me. It's
Right.
mean,
What
fine,
was the
whatever.
defense's point of that?
I genuinely don't know.
Like, I'm not a fan of mediumship, but why
Right,
on the
but-
stand?
Right, why on the stand? I don't know. So then one of the last people they talked to is the babysitter, Michelle McCarta. She babysat Zane and she babysat Quentin, and she had just started babysitting baby Sky. She testified that Leilani told her one time that she loved Zane more than Quentin. She also said there was a difference in the love she showed between Zane and Quentin. And she also said, she's a crappy mom. I knew that. Now, the reason that comes up is because that has come from several people, Leilani included, that she did not, she didn't have the same attachment to Quentin that she had to her other children. Which I think, Oragel, is that what we're calling it, right?
Apparently so.
Oragel, right?
Well, that was my thought too, JR. If she thinks that Oragel's going to do shit when you have that degree of mental or of dental surgery, no, it's not.
It is not. No, what she really did, what they're pretty sure she really did, was she went to her dealer and got Percocet, because that was one of the things that she was buying, was Percocet.
Okay.
Okay, so then today there were a lot of FBI agents
Okay.
on the stand, and they talked about finding Quentin's body. You know, they looked for weeks in a landfill based on that video of seeing her, because remember, Leilani has never admitted to harming him
No.
or dumping his body. Let's see. So a lot of FBI got involved because, of course, it's a missing child, and that's one of their mandates, is that they get involved with these cases. He also did a lot of interviews with Leilani, with her brother Paul, and with Daniel Youngkin, the boyfriend. The boyfriend that she lived with, not the boyfriend that was her drug dealer.
Yeah.
The defense really pushed that there were inconsistencies in the statements made by Daniel Youngkin to the FBI. But the Agent Snyder, basically, they got down to why they focused on Leilani. Hilliard, the defense attorney, said, why did the investigation ultimately focus on the defendant? Snyder said, ultimately, there were 3 individuals in that house, 3 adults in that house. And of those 3 adults, there was only one that continued to lie to us throughout the course of the investigation. Now, remember that Daniel Youngkin agreed to video surveillance and phone surveillance to try to trip Leilani up. I don't think that Daniel Youngkin did anything to Quentin. I really don't. And he was very genuine. And Leilani is a Sarah Boone, only much more chaotic in her emotional swings.
Yeah.
But she just talks in circles. Let's see. The judge has also now allowed Leilani Simon's former drug dealers, Craig and Tim Martin, to testify.
Oh.
The defense really didn't want that, and the judge has said yes. Well, there's a bunch of text messages and stuff going back and forth between Leilani and Craig Martin because she was having an affair with him in the midst of all of this insanity. And so they've ruled that the text messages between them are admissible, and that, you know, he'll have to come in to validate them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The defense now has to interview them before they can be they have to be deposed basically before
Sure.
they can actually testify. But that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There were a couple of things I wanted to note. Well, Schneider says that Leilani Simon's demeanor was inconsistent, erratic, and emotionally shallow. Yeah, that's how she is all the time. And she's like Sarah. She just never stops talking in a giant circle of bullshit that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Let's see. There were a couple of things. Hang on.
We both have so many notes.
I know it's a lot to keep track of, to try to keep track of all of these trials at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about Paul, who is Leilani Simon's brother. He has not testified. And I'm not sure if we're going to see him. He lived in the house with them.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen anything come out of Paul yet. And I'm wondering if we will, or if the defense will call him on behalf of his sister. I don't know. Schneider does say that Leilani never said that she did anything violent against Quentin. And this is one of the big problems that this trial has, that this case has, is that there is no proof that Quentin Simon was murdered.
Right.
We know he died, and we know his body ended up in a landfill. We don't know how he died. They cannot actually prove that this child was murdered.
Yep.
And that's a huge problem when it comes to culpability for murder. You know, she's charged with murder.
Right.
So I've found that really weird. They talked a lot about Simon's drug use. She was using Percocet, cocaine, and marijuana. That's quite a combo, man. That's a lot of up and down. No wonder she was so chaotic all the time. Let's see. Oh. So the prosecution tried to pass out binders to each juror that had autopsy photos and like landfill recovery photos in them and stuff. And that was hotly contested by the defense. They did actually say that it was also a large number of photos. And the judge did actually rule for the defense and say that they've got to pare that way down because it's too many pictures. Like it would be like a massive overwhelm, and everybody's got their own copy to look at. Like, I don't know. I've never seen a judge allow something like that before. And of course, when those images come up, they're not going to put them on the TV. They won't be put out into the world, which, thank God, no one needs to see that.
No.
There were some interesting things, though, just sort of timeline-wise. One thing is they show a picture of a Mickey Mouse doll that was found in the garage when they searched the her house. And when she reported that he was missing, she said he had his favorite Mickey Mouse doll with him. And that doll was obviously in the garage.
Oh. Yikes.
Yeah. Also, on the day that this FBI agent spoke to her, she said that she wanted to get a tattoo in honor of Quentin. This was before his body had been found. This was before there was any confirmation at all that Quentin was in fact dead.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and it seemed weird. It came across like she wanted to, get a memorial tattoo. And the FBI found that odd because no one... he said they weren't even discussing Quentin in terms of being dead at this point. It was still in being missing. And then this last thing that she said. So another FBI agent, Solomon, says that she told Leilani that she was confident they would find Quentin's remains in the landfill. And Leilani says he wasn't in the bag.
What?
Just makes a statement. He wasn't in the bag.
What the hell?
Right.
Oh,
They don't
boy.
really have any follow-up to that. They don't really know what it means.
That girl is a wreck.
She is a wreck. You'll remember this. Do you remember she was on the news and she said, I am not running and I am not hiding. And if something comes up and that I am at fault, I will take myself to the police station. Remember when she said that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I am at fault, I will take myself to the police station.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Right. Who says that?
Yeah.
Oh, this case.
Yeah. Also,
So
before.
these guys are saying that Paul did testify on Friday.
Oh, he did. Oh, well, I missed that. I'm sorry.
Friday was a whirlwind of Sarah Boone.
I was deep in Sarah Boone. I apologize. I did miss that.
Yeah.
I will have to go back and watch that because I'm very curious to see. I want to. Daniel Youngkin is a fucking disaster, but he was also very genuine. And I'm curious to see what Paul is like, considering what Leilani is like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another one of the FBI agents received a text from Leilani in October of 2022 before she was arrested when there were some news clips on TV, and the text said, I'm not lying for Danny anymore. The reason why my story about Oragel and shit didn't make sense was because Danny told me to say that he was the one that left the house.
Oh.
But we don't know that that's true. That's just more shit tornado, you know?
Right. Yeah. Hoy. Yikes.
Yeah. Leilani Simon actually did cry in court today. And that is when they showed an image of the top half of the baby's skull. And that was the first time she has acted like she gave a shit at all.
Oh, boy.
So that's about what we've got. A lot of very confusing things.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying that Paul testified. I obviously missed that. I will go back and watch that. I don't know. I don't really have any doubt at all that she dumped his body. But are we ever going to know how or why Quentin Simon died? And was he even murdered to begin with?
Right.
Or was this a fucked up mess who accidentally killed her child, or he died in his sleep, or something terrible happened?
Right.
And then she's caused this shitstorm rather than just tell the truth.
Yeah. No, I don't think we'll ever know.
I don't either. Oh, Ina says Paul had everyone laughing because he said when they were at the station being questioned for hours, they didn't feed them. So he DoorDashed pizza to the police station. Yeah. I got to go watch that. I'm very curious about him.
Yeah.
Because Leilani is such a tornado of insanity.
Yeah.
And this is her brother. So curious. But really, what really happened to this little kid? And was he even murdered?
Right. Well, and right, Jess, was she just too high to remember? And she really isn't sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. That one is a really, really hard one.
I mean, this could just as easily be he died in his sleep and she freaked out and didn't want to be in trouble. You know? Or he fell. Or whatever. And she freaked out. And disposed of his body and then reported him missing. It reminds me a bit of Dior Koontz, to be perfectly honest.
Agree. Yikes. It's so bad. But honestly, the way she acted when they were searching for him was so appalling.
It was insane.
Also similar to Dior Koontz. That
But
she
consider the
did
combo
not
of
win
drugs
any
this chick
friends.
was on.
Yeah. Awful. Well, there you go. That's what we've got. So that's 3 days in a nutshell, or three cases in a nutshell for the day, and backing up over the weekend for a couple. So, she had a huge history with child services. Yes.
She did.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
the condition of his body is such that they have no idea how he died. There's no way to know.
There's no way to know. No. So we'll be back here at 7 a.m. Mountain, 9 a.m. Pacific, or 9 a.m. Eastern, sorry, for Sarah Boone, and we'll both be keeping an eye on Delphi and Simon as well. But we'll be live streaming Sarah Boone, and of course, Sarah Boone is expected to take the stand in the morning as soon as they finish up with the prosecution. So watch
Bring
for
your
that.
Pop-Tarts and your juice boxes and
At least 2
all
bags of
your
chips and 5 peppermints. Yes.
At least, yes.
Yes.
It is going to be bonkers.
Yeah. And before we sign off, let's just remember that these cases are about George Torres. They are about Abby and Libby. And they are about Quentin Simon.
Quentin Simon, yeah.
Because those are the victims. They're the ones that matter and their families. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, you guys, thanks so much for being here. Take good care of yourselves. We'll see you first thing in the morning. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.